What is going on YouTube and Diablo fans? My name's Andreas and welcome back to Mana and Motherboards. So today's video is just going to be a bit of a quick one, and we're just going to give you an update and a rundown on the first week of the ladder reset for Reign of the Warlock here in Diablo 2 Resurrected, and just give you a bit of an idea on where we are on the ladder start and what the state of the game currently is, how we feel about it, what the state of the Warlock is, and sort of where we're going to be going from here, and maybe even a bit of a rant on Echoing Strike and the Warlock in that regard. I don't know yet how I feel. I feel a little bit conflicted whether it's in a good space or not, but let's dive right into that. So starting out with how my ladder reset and start has been, I am currently farming in Hull, sort of endgame, that sort of space at the moment, and I am currently using the Echoing Strike setup. So my current gear is a Peasant Crown that I found doing cow runs in Hull. I've got a Colossus Vulge Insight. It is non-eth but still working fine for this build. I found myself a nice Viper Magi, which is very useful for this build and the Warlock in general. I've got a decent amulet with excuse me, a decent amulet with 1 to Warlock skills and all res 11. I've got a Laying of Hands for that extra damage to demons, a Lifesteal ring with some res, a Mana Steel ring with some MF, Saigon's Bolt, Saigon's Boots, and a Spirit Monarch. I also managed to find a Nudges Puzzler, which gives you those teleport charges, which is very useful. Then I've got an assortment of Resist Charms that I found doing a bunch of cow runs. Very useful to keep yourself alive in Hull. I am currently level 88. And my Merc is rocking a Duriel Shell that I found, which has Cannot Be Frozen and tons of res and some strength, which is great. He's got an Obedience and a Man Catcher, and that is non-eth as well, and then a Bulwark rune word for his helm. I've also got myself an Hephasto with Spectral Hit and Fanaticism, Aura, and Teleport. I've gone through many different variants when I die and all of that. But so far, I'm quite stoked with where I am, and I also managed to find a Crown of Ages today, which is fantastic. I found an Oculus, a couple other things, nothing major. I'm still waiting for that GG big drop, but so far it's been going good. Now, I think so far the ladder start has been quite a good one, and it's really breathed a new life and some fresh air into Diablo 2 Resurrected, this whole new Reign of the Warlock expansion. It's been really exciting. The quality of life changes for the Chronicle and the loot filter and all of those things. It's really been great. The new stash system with all the new tabs has really been useful. Found a Windhammer there as well. And I think in general it's been a really cool sort of week with Mr. Llama hitting 99 in the first like 3.5-4 days or whatever, and just the new life that is breathed into the game, and there's just a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of public games, and in general there's just a bit of energy and stir and buzz around Diablo, which is great and which hasn't been there for the past few years. So the game looks like it's heading into a new chapter and a new space that is sort of unknown, and we could see where it could go from here, and the Warlock has just been a whole ton of fun to play. And I think from there, let's jump into how the Warlock is at the moment, and it's a bit of a double-edged sword here in my opinion, and I think there are 3 main meta builds or 3 mainstream builds at the moment, which I would consider being the Flame Warlock and the Miasma Warlock and then the Echoing Strikes Warlock. Yes, you do get your Summoning Blood Boil Warlock, but I think that's a little sort of more niche, a little more off meta depending on your gear and your how you want to play the game. And I think demons in general are better at support than being a full build on their own, although they do have that capacity and ability. It's just at the moment your main builds would be Echoing Strike, Miasma being your Abyss, and then Apocalypse. And I think that Abyss and Apocalypse are kind of similar in their position in the end game. They are both very, very strong balls. They both could use a little bit of tweaking, not much. Maybe Apocalypse, its damage in the end game could maybe go up a little bit. I also think that Abyss could maybe go up a little bit, but generally the playthrough is very solid and very comfortable with both of them also being quite quick, and they're in a good space. I just think that the problem arises when it comes to Echoing Strikes because it is so unbalanced relating and in comparison to Abyss and Apocalypse. And I think starting my rant on Echoing Strike and what my thoughts are with it at the moment, my first main issue is that it's so unbalanced and so overpowered that everyone is drawn to play it, and that's also why I'm playing it at the moment, is because it can farm the widest scope of areas more efficiently, more effectively, and faster than the other builds at the moment. And even when you get to very late game, end game, best in slot gear, it is still quite substantially overpowered in comparison to those other builds. And I think that's the issue, is the Warlock can become a bit one-dimensional in that regard because Echoing Strike is so overpowered that everyone just wants to play that, because like other people, I don't have all the time in the world to play Diablo, so you want to play the most effective, efficient, and fast build, and that's what Echoing Strike provides. So you are sort of stuck in a way choosing Echoing Strike just because of how overpowered and effective it is. And I definitely think maybe even if Echoing Strike stays the same for the rest of the season, it should definitely be addressed from there onwards, if not sooner. In my opinion, the sooner the better it gets balanced. That would be fantastic, because it will just level the playing field and allow other builds to show their worth and for them to shine and have more competition. Competition, I think, is healthy in this game, and Echoing Strike is just leveling that competition at the moment. So some of the elements I think that make it overpowered that should be addressed, firstly would be its no hit check and not requiring attack rating to hit, which means you don't need to stack it on your gear, which gives you sort of endless options in terms of maximizing the damage output of this build by not needing to stack attack rating and not requiring a hit check with the skill. I mean, the skill itself adds attack rating, yet it doesn't need it. So I think that is a bug and an oversight and something that's maybe broken from Blizzard's side and needs to be addressed. And that, I think, could change the build quite drastically if it did require that AR, which it looks like it does or is supposed to. Now, moving on from needing to hit with Echoing Strike, I think having a shield is also maybe an oversight and something that could be changed. Being able to use Phoenix with a massive hitting two-hander is just a bit overpowered, and even using that Mephisto's Tome, it's still very powerful with a two-hander. So somehow if they can balance, maybe by taking shields out of the equation, for Echoing Strike to use a two-hander and maybe only tomes, that would be a lot better in my opinion. And I think it's just overpowered at the moment that you can wield any two-hander in the game with any offhand that you choose, and that somehow needs to be focused on and addressed in that it's just something that no other class has, that already on top of this really well-rounded put together kit that the Warlock has, they then have this on top of that, which I think is just a little bit on the overpower side. Now, the various effects, on hit effects and things like that that work and don't work with Echoing Strike, I don't know if leeching should be something that works with this levitated throne, faster cast rate, based melee skill. Like, I understand with the barb with double throw, yes, leeching, that makes sense. But with this levitated weapon from the Warlock, should it really leech because you're using faster cast rate? And yes, it is your physical weapon hitting, but should you be getting the life back from that? I'm a bit unsure, I'm a bit conflicted there. I would love to hear what you guys think. Should leeching be allowed on this skill? And also then just addressing the fact that it needs faster cast rate and not faster attack speed, it's like somehow that is also a little bit broken in my opinion, because you can hit such fast frames with it that would be much harder to hit if you were trying to stack attack speed and not cast rate. And it sort of, again, just funnels this build and this skill just down the path of least resistance, a very easy skill to use because it's so easy to build around in terms of your equipment and gear. So I somehow don't know how that could be balanced, but it is something that I think overpowers this build slightly, is just using your cast rate to get such good frames on the skill. Maybe the frames should change for Echoing Fury in specific. I don't know if that would be a thing. What would you guys think about that? Now, again, one of the biggest things I think about the skill is its damage scaling. So even with a mediocre weapon like a two-handed insight, yes, it's a decent weapon and has decent damage, but the damage output that Echoing Fury can do is just, sorry, not Echoing Fury, Echoing Strike is just so overpowered. I mean, with high-end gear, you're looking at doing almost 200k sheet damage, which no other character can even come close to. I mean, even by half of that. So I think like the damage output could almost be halved for Echoing Strike, and it's just scaled way too vastly and too quickly, in my opinion. And that definitely needs to be addressed because there are some bugs going on there with how the damage is multiplied for Echoing Strike, and it's just way too overpowered. You are multing stuff with very average, very little investment gear. So taking that all in a nutshell and all of that sort of condensed, I think that Echoing Strike in a way is sort of making the Warlock one-dimensional and a bit overpowered, and I think that for this season, however long this current state of Echoing Strike lasts, enjoy it whilst you can, and I hope it's fixed personally from my side, because it just is making the Warlock like a one-trick pony, you know, Echoing Strike or nothing. And at the moment, I personally think the Miasma build is the most visually stunning and appealing build, and I would love to be playing that, but because I don't have unlimited time to play Diablo, I have to play what's most efficient and effective. And yes, it's kind of like a each to their own kind of situation, but yeah, I don't necessarily want to play Echoing Strike. It is a cool build, but I think, you know, it just feels a bit too broken at the moment, and that is my opinion on it. So that's my sort of rant over with Echoing Strike. I would really love to hear your comments and what elements of it you think need to be balanced or should be nerfed with Echoing Strike. If you could comment below, that would be fantastic. And lastly, I think one skill that also in relation to Echoing Strike should be looked at is Bind Demon, because with one point into Bind Demon, you can pick yourself up a tank that does not die, even in a swarm of enemies standing in the middle without you helping at all. They are just way too tanky, they are so powerful, you can pick up such powerful auras so quickly, so easily. It's like already you have this Warlock that's a bit of an overpowered class, and then that one skill just really skyrockets its potential. So Bind Demon is a little bit broken, a little bit overtuned at the moment, and you are just really slaying with these bound demons that you can find. It's almost a joke. It's really powerful, and that with Echoing Strike together is insane. So moving on from there, we found some nice drops at the beginning of this latter season. We are probably looking at going into the Miasma build after we have farmed up some wealth and some gear with Echoing Strike. Like I said, I think Miasma would be my ultimate build, and I think it is almost the most challenging to play, very fun, very engaging, very sort of it makes you play the character a bit more, as opposed to just clicking away at echoing strike. There's a little bit more nuance to it, a little bit more skill involved. So I think that is why I'm leaning towards Miasma. It's also very strong being magic damage and not having many immunes in the game. And I think it is a fantastic build at the moment and in a very good spot with a little bit of tuning just to make it perfect. So that's where I'm heading. And where to from here? I think that I'm just going to be farming. I'm going to do a bunch of chaos runs. I'll probably put out a video of that next week. What would you guys like to see me do in terms of runs, in terms of content, in terms of video? I would love to hear that. And I think just in ending here, one thing that I'm trying to figure out is what is the best place to trade for Diablo 2? Because I feel like that's an element that's possibly overlooked by Blizzard at this point in time, is where do we trade? I mean, yes, there is D2JSP, and although it's a fantastically run and good website, I personally don't buy into the whole forum gold thing, and I've got a bit of a sour taste in my mouth using that sort of pay to win if you choose element to Diablo 2, and I would love to hear your thoughts. I mean, yes, there's also tradery, but the website is a little bit slow, a little bit clunky. I mean, if, for instance, there was something that Blizzard could release that was like Project Diablo 2, where you could link stuff from your stash straight to a trade website, I don't see why Blizzard doesn't have the capabilities to do that, and it's such a missed opportunity in my opinion. If they could just have something that was part of the game that you could trade with, because it's such an important part of the community of Diablo 2 Resurrected and Diablo as a game, and it's just something that is clunky and difficult at the moment. Creating games to trade is a little bit old school and a little bit slow. I think everything in terms of pace with the game needs to move with the current changes that have happened in the Reign of the Warlock expansion. And I think at the moment, even though I'm not the biggest fan of D2JSP, it kind of seems like the path to take and the way to go, which, you know, each to their own. It either works for you or not. I will probably be using it. No, I won't be buying any forum gold with real money, but I probably need to use forum gold in order to sell my wares and what I find when I farm, and to buy any items I need. So that about wraps up this video for us today, and I would really love to hear your comments down below, what you would like to see on this channel, as well as what your thoughts are on the Warlock, on the current state of Diablo 2 Resurrected. Are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying the changes, the quality of life changes that have happened with this patch and this expansion? And where do you think things are going to go from here? And where do you think the Warlock is going to go from here? I would love to hear your thoughts down below. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. I would really appreciate that. Any views, shares, likes, any of that good stuff on the videos is always very much appreciated. And we'll catch you again soon for some more Mana and Motherboards. Cheers.